Happy New Year, everyone. Cheers on a warm greeting to everyone joining us today at Voice of Men 360 on this our 208th episode of Open Up. Today we take a virtual trip to the Far East, to the coastal city of Da Nang, Vietnam, to meet and greet the esteemed author and podcaster Payman Lorenzo. But before we do so, here's some information about our organization, Voice of Men 360. We were founded in 2020, based in London, Ontario, Canada. Essentially, we support and advocate for men and boys, and to a lesser extent, reach out to other demographics as best we can. It should be noted that we are part of International Men's Day, who has been serving in a similar capacity in over 95 countries for the past 25 years plus years. My name is Dipchand Ramcharitar. I'm the Director of Outreach and Development. And behind the scenes here, handling the controls, is our ever so hardworking President, Sivam Velautam. Before we continue, a couple of announcements regarding our current donation drive for the Indigenous community. Please note that the deadline has been extended for contributions to January 15th. As you can see the poster on the screen there, we would really appreciate if you can look at the items needed. These are critical and urgent. And considering this is a brutal winter, it will be very much appreciated if you can contribute in whatever way you can. We would really appreciate that. Thank you ever so much. And our second announcement is we have a special broadcast on January 31st from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Men and Boys. So please join us on that day. We would really we'd be very thankful if you can do so. We really need the support, and it would be great to have you aboard. So please join us then. And now for our disclaimer, we would like to remind you that Voice of Men 360's mission is always delivered with good faith towards peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and do not necessarily represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness of the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have any questions or concerns about today's episode or any Voice of Men 360 content, please email us at info@voiceofmen360.org. And now to the main man himself, the esteemed Payman Lorenzo. He's joining us from way in the east, Da Nang, Vietnam. I got a glimpse of the beach. I got very jealous because we're very cold here, and he was running around in the shorts, showing off the beautiful weather in Da Nang. So, Payman, it's a pleasure to have you aboard. And why don't we start off by asking you to share your background with us, including what was the turning point that made you shift from feeling like a victim to asking, what are life lessons trying to teach me? Payman.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in this beautiful planet you may be. Thank you, Dipchand. Thank you, Sivam, for inviting me. Love that. My background, I'm a Canadian expat. I've been living abroad for the last few years. I've lived in 14 countries on 4 continents and speaking 6 languages. And for me, to answer your question, I had no choice. I had my back against the wall. I had to make things happen. And for me, a turning point was understanding two powerful things, two powerful principles about life. The first one is the tremendous power of questions and asking the right questions. When something bad happens to us, the first question that by default we ask is, why me? What have I done to deserve this? Why, and why little baby? And instead, we need to ask more empowering, uplifting question. And the question that changed my life was, instead of asking why me, ask, what is this trying to teach me? What is a lesson for me to learn to that? And what is this trying to tell me? Once I understood that, then the rest was history. And the second principle that changed my life and even saved it was learning to reconnect with myself. Listen, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is being able to listen to that voice in my head, that gut feeling, those hunches, that intuition, because that's your soul talking to you. When you get an idea once, that's your mind talking to you. But if you get the same idea, the same inspiration over and over and over again over a period of time, then that's your soul talking to you. And our soul has two main purposes: to protect you, keep you safe and alive, and to guide us the next phase of our journey. So for me, putting those two together is what literally not only changed and transformed, but even saved my life. I actually did my TED talk in August of 2024 here in Vietnam on those two very principles.
Yeah, those are essentially two powerful ways to deal with this particular situation, especially given in modern, especially in Western culture, it seems victimhood gets special praise, and too many people tend to have too many excuses. And obviously, there are lots of issues out there, and there are people with justifiable beefs. But at the end of the day, we have to move forward one way or the other. So it's best to say, instead of saying, what, why is happening to me? What can I do about it? So on that same subject, um, regarding adversity, what is the biggest misconception, do you think, about overcoming adversity?
Well, the biggest one, from at least for me, is that realizing that nothing happens to you but for you, even in the worst thing that we went through, because we all have been through our fair share of pain, trauma, abuse, tragedy, betrayal, divorce, disease, you name it, whatever. Yes, they all hurt tremendously when you go to them. But then take a step back and ask yourself those two powerful questions. Number one, what is that trying to teach me? And number two, what is this trying to, what's a lesson for me to learn to that? Once you do that, then you will see even the most heartbreaking, the most tragic event that you may have be going through is actually happening for your highest, best interest, for your growth, because that's what life is about. Life is a school. We come here to learn, grow, become better and wiser. But then that's only 5% of what we are here. The 95% take those gifts, those wisdoms, those insights, and then share them with those people around you and around the world. So for me, realizing that was a big time game changer. And also because, as you mentioned, the biggest misconception is that, just like you said, we are a victim. No, we are not a victim. Instead of asking, what have I done to deserve this? Why me? Ask yourself again, what is this trying to teach me? For example, my personal life back in 2015, as I mentioned, sorry, 2020, when I mentioned in my TED talk, I was beyond broke. I was living on $20 a week in Hong Kong, one of the most expensive. It's actually been rated as the single biggest, the most expensive city in the world. I was living on $20 a week, and
Wow.
yet it was some of the happiest moment of my life. How is that possible? Because society conditions us to believe that, hey, you need money. Yes, we need money to survive, but ultimately, if you had met me back then, I was a guy with a three-piece suit but no money in my pocket. But yet it was some of the happiest moments of my life. How is that possible? So that's for me was the biggest lesson, that, and the lesson was true happiness comes from within, not from
Right.
outside.
Exactly. I've had this short conversation, which I enjoyed very much, that I had with you before. You seem to place a fair degree of faith into intuition and gut instinct. So, how do you tap into both in your decision making process?
So great question. Love that. For me, again, it's always, no matter what circumstance, what setting you may be in, always listen to your gut feeling. Whether it is a business meeting, uh, a friend meeting, or even a date. If you're feeling something off about the person, listen to that gut feeling, listen to that intuition. Another thing that I do, I have a very deep connection with water. So I take long showers. I count my blessings. Being blessed to live here in Vietnam on the beach, I go by the beach and I just sit there and listen to the waves. And or even sometimes I go to swim. And before I dive, and I say, "Universe, inspire me." Mind you, not always I get into intuitions and inspiration, but quite often I have ideas that come and insights. So for me, is being able to connect with myself through water. We all have different ways to connect to higher self. Some people do it through meditation, through prayer, singing, writing, incantation, sports, whatever. Find your outlet, connect with yourself, and above all, listen to that gut feeling. Listen to your hunches. Listen to that voice in your head, because again, that's your soul talking to you. As I mentioned earlier, our soul has two main purposes: one, to protect you, keep you safe and alive, and two, guide you to the next phase of your journey. If I were to look at my life, the 4 or 5 decisions that completely changed my life have all come as a result of me asking better questions, more empowering questions, and two, sorry, listening to my gut feeling, to my hunches. So that's my answer. Listen, find a way that you can connect with yourself, with your higher self, and then just listen to that.
Do you ever have a situation where you have to wrestle between logic and gut feeling, or is that something you overcome very easily?
Oh, always, always, always. And that's our job, to put the that little thing called ego to the side, because our ego is an ally, but can also be your greatest enemy. It's an enemy from within. So learn to put the ego, silence the ego, and see how, and really listen to how you really feel. Usually, whenever I'm facing a situation, I close my eyes and then I say, I ask, "Universe, inspire me," and then see where your thoughts are going, which direction. The first thing that comes to mind, that's your answer. At least that's been my way of, especially when I'm on a crossroad making a difficult decision. This is what I do.
Well, it seems your intuition is really working for you, because that's the very next question that
Thank
we
you.
we have. How do you stay motivated when you're facing setbacks?
For me, staying motivated is because I've been able to do that. Find what you truly love. I know it's a cliche, but find what you truly love, that you would do it for free. Like this morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock. I had a call at 6 o'clock, not a call at 7 o'clock, and I did it with joy. I wasn't dreading it. Find something that you can really, really, really gets you going, that sets your soul on fire, gets your heart singing, that you would get up out of bed early in the morning without an alarm clock, and you wouldn't mind doing it 80 hours a week without, even if you would do it for free. So find something that really makes you come alive. And for me, what makes me come alive is this: inspiring, empowering, and helping people. And this is what keeps me. It's basically always remembering the big why I'm doing this, I've been called to to be on the path I am. So again, again, all comes down to what I said earlier: reconnect with yourself, follow your heart, and ask yourself the right questions.
Right. So, concerning like on a regular basis, do you have like a set schedule that you follow religiously, or do you sort of adapt as you go along in your day?
It's a mix of both, because being in Asia and the time difference, like right now it's 8 a.m. here, Monday morning. For you guys, it's 8 p.m. Sunday night. So my
Right.
schedule is mostly wake up in the morning at 6, 7 o'clock, depending on my call schedules and all that. I do my calls, say, till 11, 10, 11 a.m., which is 10, 11 p.m. Eastern, 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific. And after that, I'm done for the day, and then sometimes I have calls with clients and prospects and the UK and Europe, and I take those calls in late afternoon or early evenings. The rest of the day, I'm pretty. My schedule is very open, and I do it on purpose, because again, I live in paradise. I want to enjoy it. I don't want to be glued to a computer 24/7.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, regarding your both, which you've been successful at being a podcaster and an author, how does your experience inform your work?
So, what was the last part? How much?
How does your experience,
Oh,
overall experience, inform your work as a podcaster and an author?
on a daily basis because I'm a collector of stories. I'm a student of life. My podcast is not only a platform for me to showcase incredible, extraordinary men and women from around the world, but also in a more selfish way, it's my ongoing form of education. It's my, if I were to say, my MBA program all day long because I get to talk with real world class experts and people with incredible stories. So this is how my podcast. I learn so much from the experience of people. I get to connect on my podcast, learning from the stories, from the experiences, the wisdoms, and also learn not only about things I thought I knew, but also learning about things I had no idea even existed. Like recently, I talked to a lady from the U.S. She moved to Greece. She's a vet for senior dogs. I had no idea that thing even existed. So this
Yeah,
is how I keep myself learning about incredible things that I didn't even know existed. So my podcast has been my ongoing, say, Harvard University, where I
right.
get to pick the brains of incredible experts and incredible men and women from around the world with not just inspiring but truly goosebump inducing stories.
Yeah, I can imagine. It must be such a rich experience, connecting with such, enlightened and diverse people from all around the globe. So, kudos
Yes.
to you for,
Thank you.
doing such a fantastic job,
Thank you.
merging with all these people. Now, when it comes to achieving success, which obviously you've been through the, the trails and the ditches to get to where you were, but what about the role of resilience? I mean, do you get discouraged on the way? How do you deal with that? How do you handle
Oh,
resilience?
resilience is part of the game. You must be resilient. Giving up is not an option because unlike the corporate world, you're not going to get a paycheck on Friday. You have to make that happen, and even if you don't feel like it, you got to keep moving. And just like the cliche saying, every no gets you closer to a yes. That's what I live by. We have to. And being resilient, it's a non-negotiable. It's a must-have quality trait for any entrepreneur, and not just entrepreneur. I would say even for anyone, whether they're in the corporate world or even in the business, especially in the business world, you must be resilient because you will face uh, obstacles, challenges, rejection. It's part of the game. Life is a game. Just play, learn the game, the rules, and abide by play the rules and master those rules, and that's how you win. And being resilient is a big, big, big aspect of because I've been in a situation where it was really dire, down to my last $50. But you know what? I doubled down. I get back on my calls, and within a day or two, get three, four, five clients, and then back laughing and smiling, generating thousands of dollars. So it's part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of difficulties, now people like yourself who's have a fair degree of success, um, you're in a position where you can obviously help others. And I think overall we as humans see that as something gratifying. So, how do you inspire others who are facing difficulties?
I love this question because that's the one thing I love the most about what I'm doing. I've been a natural cheerleader for people since I was a little boy, since I was born. I inspire them by telling them what I've been told when I was at the lowest, when I was on the verge of literally doing the unthinkable, which was committing suicide. Because at one point I was suicidal, and what
Wow.
saved me was listening to men and women from around the world telling me, "Hey, just because you're going through some temporary, keyword being temporary,
Right.
in my case, financial challenges can be any type of challenges. That's not a reason for you to give up. You're smart. You're not stupid. You're young. In my case, you've done it before. You can get back on your feet. And I owe my life to these men and women uh, because of that. And this is why my podcast literally saved my life back in 2020, 2021. And I was at the lowest, lost, depressed, beyond broke, suicidal. It's the wise words of these men and women that kept me going. And today, if I'm here, is because of that. And now my job is to do the same thing for people. I've been doing that since I was a kid. I love being a cheerleader for people because again, we all need that person who tells, "Hey, listen, we're here for you, we're cheering for you." And my mentor told me that the most important people cheering for us are our future clients. They're just waiting for us, but we don't see them yet, and they're just telling us, screaming for us, "Hey, Stop getting in the way. Stop overthinking. Stop playing small because we need you and we cannot afford to let those people down. So for me, I've heard all kinds of stories. People have lost it all, went to jail, had to reinvent themselves. People that were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, terminal diseases, they had to find a way. People that were life changed, life destroyed because of an accident, they ended up being a paraplegic for the rest of their lives. It was so easy for these people to give up, call it a day, but they found a way to keep it going. And it's
Right.
these stories, these people that inspired me as well.
Right.
Sharing those stories with, if I talk today with someone that's in a very bad situation, all I can do is just share with them my story and the stories of the people I've been blessed to talk for the last 5 years and 420, 30 episodes of my podcast.
Yeah.
Those amazing wisdom from amazing men and women from the world to give them hope. Because again, your job, our job is to, if you can inspire just one person through your story, then your job is done. Your mission is completed.
Right.
So this is what I've been able to do to my podcast, to my books, to my talks, and I absolutely love it. This is the most gratifying job, most gratifying aspect of what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, I can relate to that to a certain degree, and like you said, you listen to wise words from people who are so inclined, and it's gratifying to pass that on to people in need. And I remember when it comes to suicidal thoughts, if you can obviously talk people out of that. I remember this one, I think it's 5 words phrase from I listen to some Buddhist videos sometimes, and this I don't know who is the original author of. It's a forward sentence. It says, "This too shall pass." So whatever you're facing, just keep that, and that applies to both sides of the coin. Even though you're bathed in riches, it's this too shall pass. If you're dying in poverty, this too shall pass. So there are different lengths of time and circumstances for that to apply, but the general uh, caption of this too shall pass makes a lot of sense in a lot of cases and can
Yeah.
certainly help people get out of the doldrums. So that's something
Yes.
to keep in mind. So going back to the gut feeling and the intuition, can you share with us one personal story of a tough decision that you made that was guided by intuition?
A tough one. Well, I was how I started my podcast 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I was beyond broke, staying with family in Ontario. One day, having a lunch with family, an idea popped into my head: start a podcast. What do you mean start a podcast? And that voice, that idea wouldn't stop. It would come to me for weeks until finally I started my podcast. But what made it difficult is that I had no idea where to start. I didn't even have the money to buy the microphone because at the time, because of my situation, my credit card was canceled, my credit destroyed. I had to ask my sister to buy me the microphone, my first microphone, on Amazon for $65. So I had the idea, but I had no idea where to start. And I just trusted my instinct, my gut feeling. My gut feeling was pushing me, screaming at me, just start, just start, just have conversation. You don't have to be Joe Rogan level perfection. Even he
Right.
started very small. Just get going and take that
Yeah.
first step. So for me, it was listening to that voice, and finally, it took me 2.5 months between late July, early August 2020 to October of 2020 when I finally did my first interview. And unbeknownst to me, that was a turning point. It completely changed,
Right.
transformed, and even saved my life. So again, coming back to the initial point, always listen to that voice in your head, that gut feeling, those intuitions, those hunches.
Yeah.
So for me, because again, I'm a product of that. When I
Right.
go to conferences and I'm frequently at conferences, I always start my talks this way: everything I have in life, I owe to God, my family, and my podcast in that order. And I mean it. Because without the podcast, I wouldn't be here. Without my family, I wouldn't be here. Without God, I wouldn't be here as well. So it's all
Yeah.
about listening to that. That's my biggest message to people today. Listen to those answers. Let's say you meet someone, you
Yeah.
have an off feeling about them,
Yeah.
excuse yourself.
Yeah, because one of the things that I guess some of us, and I'm guilty of that to a certain extent, is that you get an idea and you keep second guessing yourself, and sometimes you need to go with the flow, and you learn from your mistakes as you go along. The guy who invented the light bulb took thousands of chances before he got there, so it's something to keep in mind.
And
Now
I would
we are
add one more thing to that, if I may, is that, I
sure.
saw a video on YouTube that completely blew my mind is that why are people that are dumber than you more successful than you? And that is because, especially those of us that are smart, we tend to overthink too much. We talk
Yes,
ourselves out of the thing. Whereas those that are not as so called smarter, they just take action, take imperfect action. Just
right,
do it, just start.
exactly. Yeah. One of the things here we at Voice of Men 360 do is we try to reach out as much as possible to a wide demographic of men and boys from all different circumstances, ethnicity, whatever you name it. We try our best to see how we can help them. Now, for people like that, for these men and boys that we often have to come across and try to assist. How does your message resonate with these people especially those facing challenges like the ones that we have to, we reach out to? Sorry.
Well, when I started my journey, and one thing I always tell my student is all you have to do is just share your story, speak from the heart. Your message is not meant for the world, but your message is meant for your world. So if my message, when I share my message, can inspire just one person, one man, one boy, that's all.
Right.
That's all I want. Because again, we all need that big brother that say, "Hey, I've been in your shoes. Hold my hand. I know how to get out of it. And together, if you can follow my lead, I'll tell you exactly what to do, A to Z, A to Z, and together we can get out." When I talk on a podcast, and I tell and I do it, I said I do it the way I wished was there when I was at my lowest point.
Right.
I create everything I do the way, again, by being the person you wish was there for you when you're at your lowest, by creating the type of content, the inspiration, the drive, the guidance that you wished was there when you're at your lowest. That's it. And all you have to do to achieve that is simply share your story, how you overcame what you had to go through while speaking from the heart, a heart to heart conversation. And this is how I've been able to inspire people around the world through my talks, through my books, through my podcast, and all that. And it's the same message. Simply share your story, speaking from the heart. And again, it may not relate and resonate with everybody, and that's fine. That's okay. Because your message, Deepchand, my message, Silam's message is not meant for the world, but it's meant for your world. If your
Yeah.
message can inspire and land with just one person who's going through what you successfully overcame,
Yeah.
that's it. That's gold. That's life changing, life saving, family saving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's inspiring. It's simple but effective. So it gets the
That's it.
job done. So, considering all your experience in life, all your experiences, all the different podcasts you've been on, the different people you've met, the books that you've looked at and written and whatnot, looking at all these things, what is the one thing you'd want your audience to take away from your story?
Great question. There's many, but the one thing, if I can do it, is your story matters. You matter. Your voice matters. Don't keep your gifts within you. Even people may feel, oh, who am I? I'm a nobody. My story doesn't matter. Who's going to listen to me? No, guess what? Just like I said just a minute ago, your message, your story, your gifts are not meant to the world, but they're meant for your world, the right person. If you when you come out, when you share your story, when you share your gifts with your world, if that can just inspire, give hope, and eventually save someone's life, because it can be life saving for the right person, then you've succeeded. You've achieved your mission. And that's what I always tell my students, my clients, and people I talk to. Again, your story matters, your voice matters, and most importantly, you matter. So, and your stories, your gifts are not meant to be kept and taken to the grave. No, they're meant to be shared. First, we need to embrace them and accept them loud and proud, and then share
Okay.
them even louder and prouder with your world.
Right. That absolutely makes a lot of sense. Now, with the brief conversation I had with you a few days ago, you mentioned something that seemed to be something you're passionate about and something that I wasn't aware. But it seems
Mhm.
interesting enough for to ask you to explain a bit to the audience, and that is what is geographic arbitrage, and yeah, if you can explain a little bit about it and how it can benefit the masses out there.
I love that question. That's one principle that opened the world to me. Geographical arbitrage means making money in a hard currency, a strong currency, US dollars, euros, or pounds, and live in a place where the currency is weaker. So your money stretches so much further. For
Right,
example, being here in Vietnam, one Canadian dollar is, let's round it to 20,000 dongs. In Malaysia, one Canadian dollar is almost three ringgits. So that means that your spending money, spending power, is multiplied by three. If you're making US dollars, it's even more. It's in Malaysia is by four, and so on and so forth. And while doing this, it's not only saving you a buck, but it helps you drastically elevate the quality of your lifestyle. For example, my rent here, I have a beautiful one-bedroom apartment, 5 minute walk from the beach, fully furnished, with utilities and all that is 550 Canadian, which is about 400 US dollars a month. Good luck
right,
finding anything like this in Canada. Plus, I don't have to shovel. So I'm living all in without needing anything. And I upgraded my lifestyle a bit over the last couple of months. I'm living on $1,500 a month. Up to last year, I was living very comfortably on 1,000 Canadian, which is 700 US a month.
right,
I was in Canada this summer with family, and I stayed for 3 weeks in August. And in those 3 weeks, I still spent $3,000 without leaving the house and without paying rent. So
right.
it's absurd. It's obscene.
Yeah, yeah. That seems to be a good form of investment for people, who obviously where the expenses are incredibly high, like the U.S., New York, L.A., Toronto, Vancouver.
Canada, Europe, UK, yes,
Yeah,
Australia,
all these
yes.
places. Is there a website or something that people can go to get more information about this?
Well, they can go on YouTube. They just search for geographical arbitrage. This is a principle that was coined by Tim Ferriss. He's considered
Okay,
the godfather of digital nomad in his
right,
amazing book called The 4 Hour Work Week back in 2007 8. That's a
right,
book that opened my eyes. That's a book that took, I was literally about to send my application to law school back in 2008 when I
right.
stumbled upon that book. And to the horrors of my parents, I ended up not going to law school, but instead I started my first online business in 2008. So again, learn a skill, high income skill, make money online, and then leave abroad. Or if you're retired, you have a pension,
Yeah,
your retirement, your pension, maybe in Canada and the US and the UK and Australia will not get you far. But then anywhere outside of the Western world, you
yeah,
can live very comfortably. My best friend here is a former, as a retired military guy from France. His retirement in France doesn't go anywhere, but here he's living very nice, very well. And
yeah,
countless other stories from people from all over the world. So
yeah,
again, if you have investments or if you have retirements or pensions, simply leave the Western world and you can remove 90% of the stress, 90% of nonsense and the divide and all that. And you will live such a more peaceful life. My goal at this time and this stage of my life is to eliminate all stress from my life. That's why I love living here, you
okay.
know?
So it has obviously not only physical benefits, but also psychological, mental.
Mental.
Yeah, and
Yes,
that's
because when you don't have the stress, the obligation of making $10,000 before tax, half of it goes to taxes,
right.
and with the cost of living in Canada and the US and all that, even $5,000 a month, you can barely keep your head out of the water.
Yeah,
Whereas
good
in
point.
here, you
Yeah,
can rent a full villa with a swimming pool
yeah,
for 1,000 to 1,500. I used to live in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, my favorite place in the world.
yeah,
A luxury condo, brand spanking new, fully furnished, utilities included, twice a week maid service, amazing infinity pool with a stupendous scale skyline, all of that, and that was on Airbnb month to month.
yeah,
1,000 to 1,200 Canadian, about 800 to 800 US a month. If you were to go down to the lobby and go to the office and sign a 6 to 12 month contract, you can get that to $500 to $600 a month.
Yeah, well, it certainly augurs well for people who would be interested in something like that. It would be beneficial to a lot of people who want to make that, I guess, that drive, that make that their goal, if that's possible. Some people would want to do it. Some people may have other reasons for not wanting to do it, but it's
Sure.
something to keep in mind, something to explore. I have one final question because we're running
Sure.
out of time. But before I do, I just want to give some further information about our organization. We invite everyone and anyone to our organization. We welcome you all. There's no limitations to gender, age, nationality, ethnicity. All walks of life can participate. If you want to be a guest on our show or willing to be part of our organization and help us directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We work with anybody, individuals, professionals, government officials, other organizations, corporations, businesses, you name it. You all are welcome. So let's get you some contact information. Our phone number is 226-289-8784. Our email address is info@voiceofmen360.org. And our website is www.voiceofmen360.org. You can find us on pretty much all the popular social media outlets. We have a Facebook group page. Please join our group and you can see our daily activities. And obviously, we would welcome your friends as well. Other platforms, social media that we are on include Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. And please, you do us a humongous favor by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Voice of Men 360. So one and all, please join us in whatever way you can. We would certainly appreciate your contribution. So for the folks out there, we're coming to the end of our podcast for this evening. And one final question for Payman. Can you share your contact information to those interested in learning more about you and your work?
Thank you. So my YouTube channel is Leaders with a Heart. Again, Leaders with a Heart. On Facebook, same name, Leaders with a Heart. What else? That's the best way to connect with me, on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook. And I use Instagram, but Instagram is more for personal. So Facebook and YouTube. I have a website as well, podcastleadschallenge.com. Podcastleadschallenge.com. That's what I do in my business. And my books as well. You see them in the background here. You can grab them on Amazon. All proceeds go to charity. Leaders with a Heart Volume 1 and Leaders with a Heart Volume 2, which is a collection of stories, incredible stories from the last few years on my podcast. And yeah.
So there you have it, folks. There's a lots of information, and there are these ways you can reach out to Payman and learn from the incredible lessons that he has to offer. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Payman.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing such inspiring and meaningful message. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Continue to enjoy the weather in Vietnam. And to the audience out there, we couldn't have done this without you. We really appreciate your time that you've spent with us. Thank you so much for being there with us. And to our so hardworking behind the controls president, the man who keeps everything flowing seamlessly, Sivan Velautam, thank you a lot so much for doing your part. So from all of us here at Voice of Men 360, again, a happy new year and best wishes for the coming year to each and every one of you. So cheers to each and every one out there. Thank you.
And if I may add one last thing, for those who are interested, they can go on YouTube and search for my TED Talk. Just search Payman Lorenzo TED Talk and you will know more about me.
Okay, there you have it. So folks, again, happy new year. And from all of us here at Voice of Men 360, bye for now.
Thank you.